Ladies and gentlemen, she was 14. She had just lost her father. He was her father's friend, a father figure to the young girl. They had met at church. She used to call him Mama. He was also a deputy director of Delhi's Women and Child Welfare Department. He's the man on your screens. The family shared a relationship of trust. Probably why the mother handed over her child to him. What followed was not just a breach of trust, but the deepest kind of depravity. The man entrusted with the job of protecting Delhi's children raped this 14-year-old under his care for 4 months, over and over and over again. Ladies and gentlemen, for a moment, put yourselves in that little child's shoes. Just imagine her trauma. I know this is deeply uncomfortable for you. These are deeply uncomfortable details for you to watch. You probably don't want your children to hear this. But for a moment, imagine what that 14-year-old who had just lost her father is going through. She's abused. She's raped for 4 months, over and over again, with no one hearing her screams. And then she's impregnated. Impregnated at 14. The trauma of the abortion is so grave that the girl goes silent. Silent for almost 3 years till her panic attacks land her in hospital. As counselors probe her attacks, the truth and the trauma tumble out. This young woman is 17 today. She's a class 12 student. She told the counselors about the rape and abuse. She told them about how her rapist's wife did nothing to stop her husband and instead gave her abortion pills. 8 days ago, after 3 years of not knowing, the girl's shell-shocked mother registered an FIR. This happened on August 13th. Today, 8 days later, the girl has given her statement to the police, and both Premoday Khakha and Seema Rani, his wife, have been arrested. The Delhi minister, who many say had handpicked Khakha for the job, says justice should be delivered to the 17-year-old without any delay. Listen in.
अरेस्ट तो होना ही चाहिए, पर सख्त से सख्त और जल्द से जल्द, ये सबसे ज़रूरी है। क्योंकि होता क्या है कि किसी भी क्रिमिनल की हिम्मत इस देश में क्यों बनती है? क्योंकि उनको लगता है कि जब देखेंगे तब कार्रवाई होगी, फिर मामला कोर्ट में जाएगा, तब तक हमें बेल मिल जाएगी। ना सिर्फ सख्त से सख्त कार्रवाई की ज़रूरत है, बल्कि जल्द से जल्द कार्रवाई की ज़रूरत है।
Yes, it's unfortunate that the wheels of justice grind very slowly in our country. After all, remember, it took Nirbhaya's family 7 long and painful years to see their daughter's rapists and killers hang. 7 years. 7 years, 3 months, actually. But what is also equally unfortunate is that even something as heinous as a child being raped becomes a political free-for-all. First, Delhi Commissioner of Women Chief Swati Maliwal on your screens went on Dharna at the hospital where the girl has been admitted. Why? Because she isn't being allowed to meet the girl. Swati will be joining us in just a bit. Then her rival from the BJP, National Commission of Women Chief Rekha Sharma, went on to take pot shots at her. Listen in.
The government senior official has been accused of raping a minor. How do you look at it? Have your department taken any cognizance on it? Please tell us the details.
It's a shocking incident, and today morning only I got to know about it. We have taken cognizance, written to the police, Delhi police, and also to the Delhi WCD ministry. Very, very shocking that the person who was supposed to take care of the women and children was abusing the young girl physically from last 2 years.
Host of reactions are coming in on this particular issue. We have Bansuri Saraj with us from Delhi BJP. You have just addressed a press conference. Ma'am, a shocking case has come to light. A man who was with the ministry, WTCD ministry as an OST, has raped a girl and he was acting as her guardian. Ma'am, how do you see this incident that has come to light?
It is a heinous crime, Mohit, especially because he was, not only that he was such a high-ranking officer, he was a deputy director of the Women and Child Development Department. But would you believe, as per 23rd of March 2022, this is a document of the Delhi government. Please see. The then Minister, Mr. Kailash Gehlot, it says, Honorable Minister has desired that Shri Premoday Khakha, Assistant Director, Women and Child Development, may be deputed as OSD Women and Child Development to the Honorable Minister. That means this individual was handpicked by the then Minister to be his OSD. So he is a handpicked and a very favourite officer of the Aam Aadmi Party. Perhaps that is why, even though the FIR is of 13th of August, it has taken them this long to suspend him from duty. It is only today that the suspension orders have been issued, and today he has been arrested along with his wife.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not interested in politics or theatrics. It takes away from the 14-year-old's pain and trauma. In fact, it's akin to creating a circus around what is a clear crisis for our children. Just take a look at the data we have from the NCRB and the NCPCR. Out of all child abuse cases registered in 2022, over 40% was sexual abuse. In fact, 1 out of every 2 children endures sexual abuse before turning 18 years old. What's worse is that 90% child abuse involves family members or people known to the victim. This is very, very important to note. Of all children who get abused, 90%, in 90% cases, the abusers are known to the children and their families. This was exactly the case with this 14-year-old girl. She knew her perpetrator. Her father was friends with her. She saw this man as someone who would do no harm to her. Hers is not just a nightmare for all parents. It's also a cautionary trail for all parents who are watching this broadcast. India is home to about 430 million children. No child should have to go through what this girl in Delhi has had to go through. Child abuse, ladies and gentlemen, has a very long shelf life. Children carry the burden of sexual abuse through their adulthood. So it's important to report child abuse the moment it happens. Here is what you can do. And I hope there are some children who are watching this broadcast, because what I'm putting out next is for all of you. You can contact the child helpline number at 1098. Many of you do not know this. The child helpline number is 1098. Other numbers you can reach out are helpline numbers of Bachpan Bachao Andolan and the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. Those numbers are on your screens as well. In fact, I'm going to keep those numbers on our screens for another minute or so that you can note them down. You can also file an online complaint at the POCSO e-box portal. But more importantly, reach out to someone who you think is close to you, like a parent or a guardian or a teacher, any elder you trust. Tell them what is happening. Report the incident at the earliest and seek help from a therapist or a counselor. Let me go straight across to my colleague Priyank, who's the one who's been tracking the story for us. Priyank, you know, one of the things that has become a point of contention is this, and I want you to put out the facts here, because as I said, I'm not interested in theatrics or politics as far as this story is concerned. The question being raised is this, that if the FIR was registered on 13th of August, why is it that only 8 days later that an arrest has been made of the accused and his wife? Why the delay of 8 days? Question is, was it deliberate?
See, Shreya, since it's a matter related to POCSO, so we are not allowed to directly go and talk to the doctors or those therapists who have been treating her. Neither we are allowed to go and talk to the victim's family straight away unless and until they give their desire that they are willing to come out and talk to the media. So all we have is a statement coming out from the government official from both the sides, which has been indulging in this kind of blame game. And we have seen that, unfortunately, on an issue of women rights, the DCW and the NCW are at the loggerhead, which is certainly not working on the interests of the people. But the justification that the Delhi police has given, which we will have to believe because that will be a documented fact, that once they contacted the doctor, because the doctors were the one who had given this information to the Delhi police regarding the manner approaching them, and she has told that what had happened to her. The doctors had told her to Delhi police that they should not expose the victim too much in public domain because her condition is still not stable. Imagine a girl who has gone to a trauma for 1.5 years when she was there inside her house. Everyone was thinking that she is in this kind of condition just because she has lost her father. But unfortunately, something else was going inside her mind. Unfortunately, that she at least described this thing before the counselors. So on 12th, the girl was admitted at the hospital. On that particular evening only, within 24 hours of time period, the sections of POCSO were added and the FIR was filed against the accused. But because the Delhi police had to wait for the victim to go and record her statement before the Metropolitan Magistrate under CRPC section 164, the Delhi police did not disclose this fact till the time we started asking them yesterday regarding the status of the investigation, because we got to know about it from our sources. So what we can tell to our viewers, that the long delay has happened because the cops did not wanted the matter to come out before they could have recorded the statement, the victim's statement before the concerned Metropolitan Magistrate Court, because that is the only piece of important evidence.
Then I want to ask you my follow-up question.
Which can prove their
I want to ask you my follow-up question then, Priyank. Please help me understand, if you are telling us that the Delhi police was tight-lipped till yesterday evening, does it mean that they had not communicated the contents of this FIR or the filing of this FIR to the Delhi government or to the DCW or to Atishi or to Arvind Kejriwal? Is that what we believe is the truth? That they were simply not told till late last evening?
Yes. Yes, Shreya, see, the POCSO sections are so stringent that any information which goes out in public domain about the victim's identity, the accused's identity, is certainly liable and punishable before the court of law. That's why the content was certainly not shared, and the cops were gathering evidences before they could actually go ahead and proceed with the arrest of the accused. That's why this information was not shared with the concerned department, which you have just named.
Okay, Priyank, we'll leave it there for the moment. Let me go across to Priyank Kanungo, who's the chairperson of the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, who's joining us on the broadcast as well. Priyank, there's much politics that has played out over this young woman's trauma and pain. And I don't want to go into this politics. But Priyank is telling us that till late last evening, it was not possible for anyone in the, in the Delhi government or the DCW to actually know what had happened to this girl, because the Delhi police had kept the contents of the FIR to themselves till the girl had recorded a statement. Is that the factual correct position, Priyank? You are someone, who heads the NCPCR. You can tell us if that's the correct factual position.
Let me tell you about the position of law. DCW has no mandate to get the copy of FIR. It's Child Welfare Committee who can get the copy of FIR, and Delhi Police is accountable to provide a copy of FIR to Child Welfare Committee. DCW has no locus standi in this case. The POCSO Act specifically said that the monitoring and the grievance related to this act should be addressed by the State Commission for Protection of Child Rights and National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. Yesterday, DCPCR team met the child, took the statements, get the counseling report done. Today, I met the child. I met the child's mother. The child was with a magistrate for 164 CRPC statement. The child is traumatized. We decided better not to talk to child as of today. So this is the position. Now, who is politicizing the matter? the Arvind Kejriwal and his government, why they are putting Dharna in front of hospital? What is the issue of Dharna there? You have failed to protect a child. You have failed to protect a child who lost his father due to COVID in 2020, and as per the orders of Honorable Supreme Court, you have to provide the details of such children to the Honorable Supreme Court through a portal, a designated portal for these children. You have to provide the social investigation report, the individual care plan, the follow-up reports, and who is the responsible for providing all these data has become a trafficker and abuser of the child. So this is the truth about the state government. Correct. And they are doing this type of drama politics just to protect their officials, their politicians. Yes.
But how is this protecting their officials? How is this protecting their officials if till last evening they themselves had no clue?
No, they are protecting their officials because in the matter of SMWP 4 year 2020 in Supreme Court of India, the Supreme Court has ordered to provide information of each and every child who lost either of parent or both the parents during the COVID times from April 2020. The official who is responsible to provide this information was caught abducting and raping the child. So he got the data due to his mandatory obligation ordered by Honorable Supreme Court. He didn't uploaded the data on the portal. He didn't uploaded the follow-up reports of the child on the portal. He didn't apprised the state government or the National Commission or the State Commission, and the officials who are responsible to monitor the duties of that particular officer, Khakha, were negligent. So they are trying to protect their entire negligent mechanism, because in many child welfare committees, their cadre is working as a chairperson and member, and they have failed.
The same thing can be said about the BJP. For example, if the DCW has no locus standi to go and visit the girl, and I agree with you that they don't, and Swati the Maliwal is on Dharna, she shouldn't be, but then neither does the... Ek minute. Neither does the NCW. Priyank, just a minute. Just a minute. I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about you.
I am not talking about BJP or Aam Aadmi
No, of course you are. No, of course you are.
Please,
the point is, Priyank, listen to my question. I'm saying because the same can be.
I am not talking about BJP.
I am choosing my words carefully. Now listen to my question. Please listen to my question. I'm requesting you to listen to my question because, you know, the DCW is making the argument that if the NCW member can go and meet the girl like they did today, why can't the DCW? Because if the DCW doesn't have locus standi, neither does the NCW. But I don't want to get into that. That's taking away from what the actual trauma. I'm aware of it. So anyhow, that's okay.
Under which
so here,
I am not aware.
Yes, I'm aware of it. I'm aware of it, and all viewers who've been tracking the story are aware of it as well. But Priyanka, I have a specific question for you because you told me you've met the girl and the mother. I want to ask you if you could have a word with the mother and why, because a lot of people are asking why would a mother hand over a child to someone who's even a family friend? Your basic instinct as a parent doesn't allow you to do it. Why did this mother do it? Did you manage to have a word with her? Did she say anything to you?
You cannot consider a responsible officer as just a family friend. He is a responsible officer, and by the order of Honorable Supreme Court, he was the authority to protect the rights of child who has lost either of parent. So we don't know whether the accused person took the child as authority or as individual person. But he committed this kind of heinous crime against a child while he was an authority to protect the rights of children. He was a public servant, and the government should be accountable for this.
Yes, he was. And he had no business taking away a little girl from the mother, whether in a personal capacity or in an official capacity. Priyank, we leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much for joining us and answering our questions to the best of your ability. I'm going across to Swati Maliwal, who is joining us on the broadcast. Swati Maliwal, can I please ask you why you're on a dharna outside the hospital where that young lady is currently admitted?
See, I got to know about the case. I issued notice to the Delhi police as to why were arrests not made for so many days. I also issued a notice to the Delhi government because I want this to be investigated as to what all departments he has been a part of, whether any complaint has been received against him in the past, and what is the status of the complaint. And in case all these complaints have been closed, I think they need to be reopened. So we've launched an inquiry. I wanted to meet the survivor because this man is very influential, clearly so influential that he was able to prevent any arrests in a POCSO matter for almost 8 days. So I wanted to meet the survivor and give her support, as well as try and find from her if any kind of undue pressure is coming, so that we can help her and we can take the matter to court and we can help her through compensation and other things. I reached here at 11 o'clock in the morning, and the Delhi police has prevented me from entering the hospital for the past 8.5 to 9 hours. I've been sitting here without any food. I really fail to understand why is it that the Delhi police is doing this. Why should I, who is a statutory body, not be allowed to meet the survivor and try and help her? Until I help her, how do I take this case forward? It is my statutory duty to do so. I think it's very shameful, and the way the Delhi police is acting, they're acting like gundas. Why is it that the Delhi Commission for Women chairperson is being prevented to meet?
But you are the Delhi Commission for Women chairperson. When it comes to a minor, this is not your locus standi. This is at least what Priyank Kunango is telling us, who's the head of the NCPCR. He says Swati Maliwal simply doesn't have any business being there because she has nothing to, her statutory duties towards women in Delhi, not towards children. We'll deal with it when it comes to the children, or there'll be a Delhi Department for Child Welfare that will deal with it. What business does Swati Maliwal have to go there and sit on dharna?
So there are two things. One is when 8-month-old baby was raped in the capital. Where was the so-called NCPCR or the DCPCR? The Delhi Commission for Women only intervened, and we got this girl 3 operations done in the hospital. And in each and every case, which is a POCSO case also, the Delhi Commission for Women offers support and we help the survivor. Never before have I tried to enter a hospital, whether it is a minor case or a major case, that I have been stopped. Then why today in this particular case that I am being stopped? Because the Delhi police for the past 8 days has failed to make arrests in this matter. This man, of course, enjoys clout. So why is it that Delhi police once fails to ensure arrests, immediate arrests of the man and his wife, and on the other end is trying to prevent me from meeting her? I'll meet the mother of the survivor. Let me meet the mother of the survivor at least. Even then, that I'm not being allowed. All kinds of excuses are being made, and for the past 8.5 hours, I am in this situation where I am not being able to meet the survivor, I am not being able to go home, and I have to sit on a dharna, because how do I, as the Women Commission chairperson, go back to my house without meeting that survivor, now especially when I know that she may be under even further trouble from the authorities? Because why is it that the Delhi police is refusing? There is absolutely no reason, and they have never done it in the past. Whether it is a 1-year-old girl who was raped, 3-year-old girl, 4-year-old girl, we do rescues, we do support the survivors in all the cases. Then why not in this case am I being allowed? I mean, it's a complete open and shut case of complete blatancy by the Delhi police. गुंडागर्दी कर रहे हैं. Rapist तो इनसे 8 दिन में पकड़ा नहीं गया और मेरे को पकड़ के बैठे हैं.
Okay, Swati, so here's the question. Have you considered the possibility that maybe the child is not in a position to meet you or speak to you? Maybe the mother doesn't want to meet you or speak to you. Maybe they are not in the mental condition. After all, it was only 8 days ago that the mother herself has got to know about what has been happening to her daughter when she finally filed the FIR. Today, the NCPCR chief is saying he definitely went to the hospital, but he didn't speak to the girl. He couldn't speak to the girl because doctors are saying that she's not in a position to speak to anyone. In fact, that is why the Delhi police delayed taking her statement. It happened only today. It hasn't happened for the last 8 days because they say the doctor told us that she's not in a position to give a statement.
totally agree and I totally appreciate that. But the NCPCR was made to meet the survivor's mother and she has spoken at length with him. That is his own statement. Then why cannot I also meet? If the mother does not want to meet me, she can always meet me and just say that I'm not prepared for this and let us meet after 2 days. And in fact, I'm going to offer her that is it okay? Are you fine? If not, please let us meet after 2 days, but I'll come back in 2 days. But what is the role and the business of the Delhi police to prevent a statutory authority from meeting the survivor? Who are they? I'm absolutely open to the thought that maybe the survivor and the family is not in a condition. But how do I take an instruction from the DCP and the ACP who has actually prevented arrests for the past 8 days? So I'm not going to take my instructions from them. I am definitely going to take my instructions from the survivor's family. Meet me once, just tell me that they don't need me. I'm going home then.
Okay, so again, as I said, you call yourself someone representing a statutory body. You are saying this is completely your business. But again, as I say, you are the Delhi Commission of Women Chief. You are not a panel member of the Child Welfare Association. So if in that capacity you're being stopped, maybe Delhi police has a point. I want to quickly ask you one last question. Because of this dharna that you have been on for the last 8 hours outside the St. Stephen's Hospital, can I just complete my question? Can I just complete my question and you can respond to both? You know, there are many who will say कि एक लड़की की जिंदगी का आपने तमाशा क्यों बना रखा है? Is Swati Maliwal sitting on dharna not taking away from the actual heinousness of the crime and the debate that should be held? Instead of a debate now on all television channels that are just talking about what Rekha Agarwal said, what Swati said, Swati Maliwal said, and what Basuri Swaraj has said, because that is what it has been reduced to now, right? In every television channel, this has become a political debate, not a debate about child's right and child sexual abuse.
Madam, I agree with you to some extent, but I don't agree on some extent. So, for instance, when you say that it's a child's issue and it is not a women issue, I don't agree with that. And just one small thing that I can say that can probably put this in context is the mother of the child is also going through a lot of trauma and she is also going through a lot of pain and she is a woman. Why is it that the Delhi Commission for Women is being objected from meeting her also? And the 181 Women's Helpline is on a daily basis getting 2,000 calls, and we get calls from girls and women and we process all of them equally. So I don't agree with this stupid argument by the MCPCR as well as the Delhi police. I think this is not correct. But I totally agree that it is very unfortunate that Delhi police has reduced us to this situation today. Why is it that I was not allowed to meet the survivor in the first place? And if suppose I'm not allowed to meet the survivor as the TCW chair, what should I do? If I'm not being allowed to meet the survivor or the family of the survivor, which is my statutory duty, which I need to do in order to take this case forward, there are two options. One is that I sit here and I demand justice. The other is I go back to my house and sleep peacefully. I will not choose to do the latter. I will choose to raise the issue today. But I agree that there is a lot of politics around it and it is shameful. And why drag the Women Commission in it? We should notice this both to the Delhi government as well as the Delhi police. We are acting on it. Now there are politicians, especially the ones that you are raising, they are actually saying that the DCW was not doing their work. Are they asking questions as to why the Delhi police has failed to make arrests? Still now, आप जाके arrest हुए हैं, तो question तो दिल्ली पुलिस से पूछना चाहिए. Question दिल्ली महिला आयोग से पूछा जा रहा है. काम दिल्ली पुलिस को करना चाहिए, करना दिल्ली महिला आयोग को पड़ रहा है. उनको हमें मिलवा देना चाहिए, वो मिलवाते नहीं है. मुझे धरने पे बैठना पड़ रहा है और सवाल भी मुझे ही जवाब देने पड़ रहे हैं. तो I think it's a matter of great shame and immediately मुझे लड़की से मिलवाएं, लड़की की मदर से मिलवाएं और अगर वो मुझे मना कर देंगी कि अभी वो तैयार नहीं है, मैं बिल्कुल मान जाऊंगी और मैं बिल्कुल तुरंत चली जाऊंगी.
All right. We'll leave it there for the moment. Swati Maliwal, thank you very much for joining us. A quick word with my guests, Yashovardhan Azad and Bharti Ali. Thank you very much, both of you, for your patience. I just thought maybe we should, speak to people who are creating the news right now for all the wrong reasons, Mr. Azad and Miss Ali, before I come to you. Bharti Ali, I mean, let's just get back to what this young girl has gone through. Forget the politics and theatrics. वो तो हर केस में होता है. थोड़ा case comes to a headline and you have theatrics and politics that goes round and round on all national headlines. I want to ask you, here is a young girl. She's 14 years old. She's a girl who lives in the national capital. She's a girl who comes from a middle class family. She's a girl who goes to a good school. I want to ask you, Bharti Ali, how is it that a young girl from this social milieu, exposed to so much on social media, feels she has no option but to keep taking on that abuse? Children are so aware these days. I was just wondering why all our girls and boys don't know what the child helpline number in this country is. In fact, I'm going to ask our producers to put those numbers back on screen because that's important. But Bharti Ali, I'm thinking to myself, if this can happen to a girl in Delhi who comes from a solid social background, I shudder to think what happens in Mufassil towns and in our villages.
True, and that's the truth, unfortunately. I will, even as you're talking, I'm recalling a training program that we were doing in a school, where after the training program, this child came up to me crying, saying that, you can't be doing these programs only with us. You have to do it with our parents as well, and you have to do it with other adults as well. So I think somewhere as adults, we are failing our children, and as parents also, we are failing our children. A lot of the complaints that you'll see, are not registered because the parent is not forthcoming for various reasons. There are, of course, many pressures playing on the parent as well, and we need to address those too. It happens particularly in cases where the perpetrator is known and someone close to the family, whether the perpetrator is a relative or someone who is biologically related to the child or related by adoption or any other way, but someone very close. In those cases, you'll see that often the only parent who feels that I'm alone and nobody is going to support me in this battle decides or chooses not to move forward and looks for other ways of finding reprieve and relief for the child. So I'm assuming the mother in this case too tried something like that rather than going to the police. Now, the thing is that there was an abortion that has happened in this case. And of course, it happened through pills. We know that you can't be getting pills from the chemist unless there is a prescription. So one has to look at that side as well. And if you actually speak to the chemist, they'll tell you the number of girls who are seeking these kind of abortion pills today. The access to reproductive health and sexual and reproductive health has become so difficult for young people and young kids today that much of it is done in a manner which is hidden and away from the public eye, which actually puts them in greater danger. So we need to look at several aspects. One is, of course, reporting and the pressures that people face when the perpetrator is known. But the other aspects also need to be understood. And we need to also figure out that if there is a report that is made, to the Delhi police, Swati is raising a very important question. Why was the arrest not made for 8 days? It's important because the POCSO Act made a very important change. It took away the impunity that was given to government servants under the earlier law. So the POCSO Act says that no sanction is required from the concerned department of the officer for the police to make an arrest. Yet the arrest was not made. So I think we need to look at those aspects of law. Are we failing children despite a law which is as strict as the POCSO Act? And that failure is happening at different levels.
Okay. Yashovardhan Azad, then come in here. As someone with long years in policing, can you help me? What was the Delhi police's majboori in not arresting this man? Because if they knew the details, the horror which this young girl had gone through, there was a good chance that in the 8 days since they had known, probably this man was exploiting some other children. Point is, when the POCSO Act is so clear, why was this man not arrested in 8 days? See, I'm not saying, I'm very clear that the Delhi police couldn't have prevented this crime, right? It was happening within the four walls of someone's home. The girl was silent. I understand that. But why not arrest him on day 1? Why go ahead and arrest him on day 8 after the story has hit national headlines?
See, there are a lot of things I want to speak on this. And in fact, my patience was wearing thin when I was hearing all those politicians skirting around the subject. You see, the question is the FIR gives you the ingredients of a particular kind of a crime. On August 13, I don't know whether if the FIR was registered, it was registered by whom? Where did they get the details from? Were the details complete or not? You know, these are a few things because I was told that the FIR was registered on 14th. But now, immediately thereafter, once you file an FIR in a POCSO case, and we've discussed this in Braj Bhushan case also, immediately you should get the magistrate statement before a magistrate, and that couldn't be done, and therefore it was done after 6 or 7 days. So it was the case of an officer, and I'll tell you, it was not a question of deliberate delay, because you have seen how the Delhi police gleefully jumps in to, arrest anybody associated with the state government, because the state government is not their boss. So they would immediately go and jump and arrest. So there must be some reason. And after this, the statement, they made the arrest. The point which I want to make is no harm has come. In fact, this man has committed the worst crime. It is amanat mein khayanat. In English, I can't describe it, but I can say that, gehri trasdi mein jo ek cruel mazak hota hai, wo hua hai. Now, number 8, why should anybody go and try to meet the, child or the parent? Who are they? I mean, and these are all political appointments. Why should they go and push themselves into the hospital and try to meet the mother or the daughter? If they really want to do something for them, they should send somebody, a messenger, a lady, who can go and offer them any kind of assistance and very requesting if they want. So this kind of political stunt also, which happens, forces the police also to not give information. Otherwise, they should be too happy to do it to the appropriate quarters. The question is, whether it's the Child Welfare Department, whether it's the Women's Department, whether it's the other department, they have no business. And if they really want to assist, there are other ways to assist. In this particular case, a lot has to be done because this person is going to be put behind the bars. I mean, if the case is, prosecuted rightly, he'll be in for life. I mean, he will lose his job, and he's done the worst thing of raping a minor which was in his guardianship. So it is, section 376(2), which is the worst crime you can do. It is under the guardianship that you commit this crime. It's like, committing a rape within the police station. The third thing which I wanted to point it out, Shreya, as you rightly said, we have so many of these helplines, 1098 hai, ye kyun nahi wo hota hai? So, when these campaigns are being run in the schools, I'm so happy, because in our schools, we are teaching only how Vasco da Gama or Columbus discovered new voyage, 1498, or Ottoman Empire fell, but they don't know the basic things that they have to go on the left side of the road. When I was staying in Pandara Road, I saw the children from Central School, they were walking right on the road, whereas I was walking on the pavement and advising them to walk on that. This is a critical problem with our society, and will continue.
I agree with you. And and here's the thing. If you ask, given the exposure on social media, if you ask children, they'll know what 911 is. It's not even ours. It's the American emergency number, but everyone knows what 911 is. If I ask 7 children in my colony what the helpline number for a child is when a child is in distress, I can guarantee you no one will know it. I can guarantee you that. That number is 1098. Parents, please note it down, 1098. Children watching, the general tendency is that if a child is if a broadcast, if a story like this is on air, parents feel deeply uncomfortable. Bharti Ali, deeply uncomfortable watching a story like this play out on national television. They don't want to see it with their children. That hesitation needs to go. And maybe children need to see stories like this just to be aware of the fact that if you are in distress, there is help available. I think that's very important. That's what I'm taking away from this discussion this evening. That for politicians, किसी लड़की की जिंदगी का इस तरह तमाशा मत बनाओ, जिस तरह आप लोगों ने बना दिया है, playing politics over a child who has been raped over and over again by someone who was supposed to protect her and guard her. And secondly, very importantly, our children don't know where they should be reaching out and who they should be reaching out to. If you don't feel comfortable speaking to your parents or your teachers, there is a national helpline number for you. It's 1098. Please dial, and I hope to God that number works. For the moment, I'll leave it there. Bharti Ali, thank you very much. Yashwardhan Azad, thank you very much for joining us as well. I'm slipping into a quick break on the show. There's some more news on the other side. Do stay with us.